On a beautiful spring day, Charlie and his motorcycle friends decided to take a ride through the local forest. As they rode along the winding dirt road, they were suddenly stopped by a tiny, trembling owl that looked exhausted and hungry. It seemed that a recent rain had separated the chick from its family, leaving it vulnerable and alone. Filled with compassion, Charlie promptly contacted both the Wildlife Service and the police, who quickly arrived at the scene to assist with the rescue. The chick was carefully taken to a professional shelter, where it received the care and affection it needed, hopefully to be released back into the wild one day. Ensuring that the little owl was in safe hands, Charlie and his friends continued their journey through the forest. The group had a wonderful day together. But Charlie couldn't get the little owl out of his mind. He kept wondering how the little bird was doing. A few weeks later, Charlie couldn't resist the urge to check on the owl's progress. He reached out to the wildlife agency and inquired about the owl's condition. The staff invited him to visit the bird in person. When he arrived, he was amazed by the transformation. The once trembling and lost chick had turned into a majestic bird with glowing feathers and piercing eyes. However, the staff expressed their concerns to Charlie about the animal. They informed him that the owl, at this stage of development, should be able to fly, but the chick had not attempted to do so yet. The caretaker explained to Charlie that the owl was physically fine, but it needed a lot of care and attention to thrive mentally and emotionally. From the day he rescued the little bird, he felt responsible for it. He then decided to visit the sanctuary regularly to check on the owl and see if he could help in any way. Over the next few weeks, Charlie spent a lot of time at the center, assisting in caring for the bird. He learned how to feed the owl and clean its cage. He was even allowed to hold it in his hands. Over time, Charlie grew more and more fond of the owl. He considered it his pet and looked forward to visiting it every day. One day, while feeding the bird, Charlie noticed the owl staring at him with its big, bright eyes. It seemed to him that it wanted to say something, but he wasn't sure what. Suddenly, the owl began flapping its wings and hopping around the cage. Charlie concluded that the owl had reached the flying stage and could be returned to its natural habitat. The Wildlife Service officials agreed with his opinion. However, they were unsure about the release since the owl had never attempted to fly. Nevertheless, it was worth a try. The staff organized the owl's release and moved it to a suitable spot in the forest. When they opened the cage, the owl hesitated at first, but after a few moments, it took to the air and soared into the sky. Charlie and the caretakers watched in awe as the owl circled overhead and then disappeared into the dense forest. Charlie felt fulfilled knowing that he had helped the little owl return to the wild. He felt sad to see it go, but he knew he had done the right thing. But as soon as Charlie turned around, he felt a breeze and the familiar rustle of feathers against his face. The owl had returned and perched on his shoulder, where it softly hooted. The caretakers were astonished that a wild bird would rarely return to a human. Charlie realized that the owl had formed a special bond with him and felt immense gratitude toward it. But the professionals were not as fortunate as he was. Most animal shelters want their animals to be safe back in the wild and feel disappointed when they fail. The caretakers suspected that the animal had become too dependent on human care and no longer had the skills to survive in the wild. Therefore, they returned it to the center. Charlie, feeling responsible for this turn of events, offered to give the owl a home if it could not live in the wild. The staff agreed that this would be beneficial for the bird. Charlie went home to make some preparations. He promised to return the next day to pick up the owl, which he affectionately named Hoot. However, when he left the next day, he had no idea what would happen next. When Charlie approached Hoot's cage to take her out, he heard a faint call from the nearby trees. Suddenly, a majestic owl swooped down and landed on the cage. It resembled Hoot but was larger and stronger. From a safe distance, one of the volunteers realized that this was another little owl and speculated that it was Hoot's mother. The mother owl was searching for her chick and had finally found it. As Charlie reached for the cage latch to free the chick, something shocking happened that left everyone speechless. All watched in amazement as the mother owl opened the cage with her beak. Hoot crawled out, stared at the larger bird for a few seconds, and seemed to recognize her mother. The mother owl looked at Charlie and emitted a grateful chirp before heading into the forest with her chick. Charlie experienced a whirlwind of emotions. He felt sad that his friend was leaving, but he was also happy that the owl had been reunited with her mother. It was a moment he would never forget.